Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in. Game Time Decisions here on this Wednesday now, June the 18th, as we've got a lot going on. We got one finals in the book as we got an old new champion in the NHL as the Florida Panthers get it done last night. We got a Game 6 tomorrow. Will we get a Game 7 between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder? We'll talk about that a little later. We got a lot of cancellations today in Major League Baseball, a lot of weather issues going.
Yeah, lots of cancellations in the baseball, Joe. And it's funny, I sent Pat picks and Seattle. That game was already. Yeah, it was crazy, Joe. It was crazy. I sent Pat. I sent Pat an email. I'm like, I like the Mariners and the under. I'm like, oh, that game started. Well, I was doing coast to coast. Thank God I don't have to give that loser, but I did have the under, Joe. But let's talk big baseball slate tonight. I was watching the Jays game, got it right. And I guess when we're betting live, we can fade that Arizona bullpen, Joe, because those guys are gas cans. Really interesting stuff. We'll see who we like on the baseball card tonight. Couple early games canceled, as you talked about, or postponed. And big card on the diamond. I got some golf picks, NBA, anything you want. And congratulations to Joe Raineri. It's not just the tan. Stanley C. Panther, his frisky feline friend, gets it done again. Wow. The state of hockey.
Crazy.
It's crazy. These guys are unreal. Like, you know how hard it is to win the Stanley Cup two years in a row in today's generation? That's a grind, bro. That's good. It's very impressive. Very impressive.
The cup remains in South Florida, Cam, but we did crown a U.S. Open champion somehow this past weekend. But talk to me about the Travers coming up here. Who are we focusing on? Like all the guys that didn't make the cut this week? Like, how do we approach this?
Good angle, Joe. Guys who missed the cut or guys that didn't have to grind like for the win, like late in the tournament. So Scheffler's always going to be there, Joe. You know that. But I'm telling you, buddy, I had Robert McIntyre 60-1 before that round started and you saw what happened. He's sitting there. I'm going, oh my God, I got a chance to win. And then Spawn went bananas on 17 and 18. But good call by you, Joe. We don't know how tired Oakmont beat a lot of these great players down. So basically, this is what I'm doing with the tournament. I'm looking at recent history, strokes, guys who can actually keep it in play, putting. You know this tournament, Joe. It's going to be one of those guys you could get a bomb, but a lot of the time those medium range guys do pretty well. Spieth's done well here before, but this is what I'm doing. We look at the chalk. I'm not taking Scheffler plus 280, and we talk about betting without Scheffler. But, Joe, I know one thing. Thank God for Cam Young. He got it done. Keegan Bradley on the East Coast is a must-play at 45. If they keep on giving me Ben Griffin, who's already won a couple times, at 55, I'm going to take him. Daniel Berger, I can't believe this price. I got him at 75. I've seen he's been bet down to 45, 50 in some spots. Tom Kim lost in a playoff the other year, 90-1. Luke Clanton, I'm like, one of my books had him at 60, the other one at 100. I go, am I missing something? Click. And Max Gracerman, 110-1. Joe, if it wasn't for Cam Young last week, I would have been probably living in a ditch, but I had top 5, top 10, top 20, and top 40 with him. He almost got it done for me.
Kind of crazy. It really is. I think they're expecting some rain again this week here. So what do? We got top 10s, we got 20s. We know our first round leaders are always good. Who are you looking to come out firing?
I look at for first round leader, Joe, he came second for me in the last couple tournaments, but at 22-1, I love Colin Morikawa. A lot of people like him to win this week, but I'm only seeing 14 and 15. So I'm going to take a shot with the first round leader. Hopefully I can make some change. If he hits that, then we'll see how we can attack him. I actually do like him this week. I just think his odds are horrible. Another guy we talk about, Tom Hoagie. He's always in the mix in this tournament. He hits it straight. 55-1 is a great price for the Hoagie sandwich. Thomas Dietrich, Joe, he's a Thursday, Friday warrior. He likes to linger at the top, and then on Sunday he falls off a cliff. So I'll get him early at 70. Jacob Bridgman has a perfect game for this type of course, fairways and greens. And Joe, obviously at my party, I'm on Joe's yacht. We got the fishing rods in the water, Jaeger bombs and cocaine for everybody at 80 and 90-1. Steven Jaeger, do something for me. And Eric Cole, I have an addiction, and it's a real problem right now. But just lead after the first round at 90-1, and I'll forgive you for all the times you let me down.
Cam, I'm kind of shocked I'm seeing that name there again, Cole, with you. But it's,
I got a problem,
I guess. I mean, my goodness, Cam. Yes. What about Aberg and Xander? How do you approach these two guys who had rough weeks?
This is it, Joe. Like, I look at the price for the chalk, and I'm like, man, I can't really take them at that number. Scheffler's involved, so let's do what I did that saved me with Cam Young last week. I love Morikawa for a top 10. All these guys are plus money. Joe, Xander played really, really well in that tournament. Remember how bad he started? He grinded his way back into like a T7. So Xander Schauffele's a guy who's starting to figure it out, and you're getting better prices on him. Soon the market will adjust, but I think he's a great price at plus money there. What is he right now? He's plus 140 for a top 10, and I'm going with Aberg. This guy has let me down a lot, but I think this week he'll get it together. He hasn't been playing as good, but in this field, I think he'll do well at this course. All he has to do is sink a couple putts. Top 20s, Jordan Spieth, a notorious page one of leaderboard guy here. Aaron Rye, all this guy does is smash fairways. You got to hit it straight. And Bud Cauley, Joe, from the University of Alabama, very underrated guy. He's 90-1 to win. I want to take a sprinkle, but for top 20, he's plus 220, and that's where Cauley likes to live, in the T14 type of range, so I like him. First round leaders I talked to you about, I love Morikawa at 22, and hopefully we can hit one of these and roll it into the weekend. But the Travelers, I know one thing too, Joe. Keegan Bradley, some matchup bets. He always plays well in New York, East Coast, Connecticut. Like, he's an Northeast guy. He went to St. John's, and he loves playing at these courses. So Keegan Bradley's been a factor in this tournament before. Ryder Cup captain, getting a great number to win this tournament too. Like that, for me, Keegan Bradley at 45, the guy's always there. So I'm going to take a shot.
Talk to me, Cam, in Major League Baseball about your Toronto Blue Jays, who they're good to get back home, man. Nice win last night. What do we get tonight here against Arizona?
I was doing the show with Sherapan and Wetzel last night. I go, let's take Toronto plus 220, and then it went up to 390, and then a walk-off home run in the end. You see this Barger guy in the Blue Jays, Joe? He's a beast. They got a lot of good young players on this team now. They're rounding into form. Kirk's been great. I'll tell you one thing. I like the over in this game. Think about Arizona, Joe. They got the pitching's not that great, and their bullpen reeks. And the Jays have a spot starter tonight. Lauer's only going to give you 3 innings, and then it's going to be mop-up duty time. So I still think the Snakes can get some runs. I think the Blue Jays, it's 8.5. It went up to 9 in some spots. But if you can get 8.5, that's even better. 9, I like the over in Arizona, Toronto. I think we see runs tonight. Very, very humid day. Hopefully, if the rain and they close that balls are going to be flying out of that place right now. It's like major. It's like in the 90s, Joe, with humidity. So it's very, very hot here in Toronto today. So I like that. I like the Royals tonight. kind of a fade. I know the Rangers have been playing a lot better. Their offense is getting in check, but I just like the pitching matchup better. I like Bubic against who's the gas can that we always fade, Joe? Our buddy on Texas.
Corbin.
Yeah, hey, Corbin. No, what, Corbin? Give me some beach balls, Corbin. Bam. Let's Sal Perez and the rest of the Royales with cheese just tee off tonight. Under $1.30. I'm with the Royales with cheese and the old public parlay, Joe. I sent Pat this one too. Hopefully it hits. You got Philadelphia, who I think are going to murder your Marlins. You're not a Marlins guy, are you? Yeah, Marlins. Yeah, Marlins and Detroit. Oh, that game got canceled? Oh, geez, my
No, Detroit got canceled. Yeah, Detroit got canceled.
Oh, who do I
Tigers
put in now for Detroit? Joe, do you trust the Yankees against the? They're ice cold.
I do.
You know what? I think the Yankees will get it back tonight. So put the Yankees in that parlay. It's basically plus 108. Yankees against the Angels and the Phillies to beat the Marlins. That's the parlay. I like Scooble and the Tigers, but that was like minus 320. So let's do the public parlay of the night. New York and Philadelphia.
That is disgusting on so many levels, and I love it, Cam. Are we getting...
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular
All right, welcome back in. Here we go. Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network as we are getting ready for a big night in Major League Baseball, though a couple of games have been postponed as the weather not all that great in many parts of the country here tonight. We've already seen the Cubs and Milwaukee. That game has been postponed. Also, Pittsburgh and Detroit has been postponed, as well as St. Louis and the White Sox. Good news is They're playing in Miami, unless, of course, you're the Phillies and you're worried about getting beat again. But they are, in fact, underway there. No score. Also, we do have a delay with the Washington Nationals here tonight. So a lot of mixing and matching going on in Major League Baseball as the weather causing a bit of a few issues here in a number of spots across the country. We did get one game in earlier, though, and that was the Red Sox getting it done with Crochet over Castillo. 3-1 was the final there. A little getaway afternoon baseball. And Crochet outmatches Castillo, and that stays well under the, can you believe it, 6.5 total that was there. If you have not heard, also, we had some breaking news a little bit earlier that the Los Angeles Lakers are being sold as the Buss family is selling a majority stake to who? Well, who else? The Dodgers. Anybody involved with the Dodgers and their lead owner there, Mark Walter. The reported deal values the Lakers somewhere in the $10 billion number. That is just unbelievable here. So the Dodgers, also now that ownership group looks like they'll be taking over the Los Angeles Lakers. I do believe Jeannie Buss will be staying on in some role, or at least as governor, I believe. The Buss family, they have owned the Lakers since the late 70s, 1979, I believe. And that is when Dr. Jerry Buss actually purchased that team from Jack Kent Cooke. And, well, they've kind of buried it ever since. But the good news is the Buss family gets $10 billion out of it. My goodness, the Lakers. I wonder if LeBron had anything to do with that. We'll have to have Kevin Walsh that when he gets back here, because I'm sure he's got some insight as to that. Either which way, you are going to get the LA Lakers and the Dodgers, I'm sure some sort of discount and combo package going on now with that ownership group. And of course, you will have the Dodgers ready to go here, as they've been a little feisty with this series with the Padres. Interestingly enough, that game, of course, late night tonight, another one with Kolek taking on Sheehan, and the Dodgers starting to pull away here, get a little separation in the National League West. It's a game they should be able to get here. They are a $2 favorite tonight. We are seeing this total close to 10. We got a ton of runs last night between these two teams that don't like one another. We got Ohtani getting plunked. This should be a fun one here, a little late night baseball there out west with the Dodgers and the Padres, but with the Giants not able to get it done with Rafael Devers last night against the Guardians. Well, the Dodgers win, the Padres lose, the Diamondbacks lost, the Giants lost, and look at that. Now, all of a sudden, the Dodgers seem to be pulling away in that National League West. This is something that many people thought was going to take place early in the season, but we found ourselves just a week ago with the Dodgers clinging to a 1.5 game lead, and you had the Padres, you had the Diamondbacks, you had the Giants, all within striking distance, but now, all of a sudden, the Dodgers seem to be putting it together a little bit. Also, the Astros out west tonight taking on the Athletics. Framber Valdez will be on the mound. Luis Severino pitching in Sacramento. And let's face it, Framber should be able to work his way around this Athletics lineup. It is kind of a bit of a cheap price, I think, for the Astros tonight and Framber. And we all know when it comes to Luis Severino, what he has shown us is that he can't pitch in Sacramento. He gives up way too many fly balls, and those end up as home runs. He has been a disaster in this minor league park. I'm kind of shocked, too. We still don't have a double-digit number on this game. It does feel like, well, at least the Astros should be able to score runs and score runs in bunches, but I wouldn't be shocked if if the A's can put some runs on the board and get this thing well over the 9.5 total. And of course, the big story tonight is, and the question on everyone's mind, will the Yankees score a run because they haven't done so in 28 innings now, which is the fourth longest streak in franchise history. Kind of hard to believe that the New York Yankees, over its illustrious career and history, have actually gone through this 3 other times where they've had just absolute ineptitude at the plate here. And listen, hitting is contagious. If the Yankees are going to turn this around, and they will turn it around, it's going to start with Aaron Judge. And if Aaron Judge is hitting, everyone else will begin to hit. And I do think they got a pretty good shot of getting the bats and the runs going here tonight against the Angels, as Yarbrough will go for the Yankees here tonight. Now, they're a big 250 favorite, but let's be realistic here. A good team total, a little buy low on a Yankees team total seems to be in place. I would also look, not that I love doing this with home teams who will probably not get that bottom of the ninth at bat, but I still think the Yankees, the bats come out and they come out swinging here tonight. I think it'll be a fun one. I think Yankees win, and they win big. So I would also look to lay the run line in that one. So we got a few Major League Baseball games that are getting ready to start after the top of the hour, including the Mets and the Braves. The Mets still licking their wounds after blowing that game yesterday and giving the Braves a walk-off win. Can they bounce back against Chris Sale? We got much more to get to. A whole lot going on here tonight as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week, and he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things that both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions. A lot going on here across the board. We said goodbye to the NHLs. We crowned a champion last night, but we got a lot in the world of soccer happening as we welcome in our good friend Marcelino Ortiz here, because the FIFA Club World Cup is underway, and we had a couple of matches already today, one with Real Madrid that you and I were just talking off air, Marcelino. A lot of folks not happy with how that happened and ended up. What did you see here today so far?
Without a doubt, that was a rainmaker for a few and a parlay destroyer for many. What a result! Unexpected. Real Madrid dropping 2 points that changed the whole paradigm for the qualifications. A lot of upsets, the results that we didn't expect that is changing the way we're gonna approach the future. We had teams like the Argentinian teams, River Plate, and also Boca Juniors, that on paper they had the losing role on those games, and they were able to come with big victories in the case of River Plate and Boca Juniors, also getting a tie at the last minute because Benfica, a very powerful team from Europe, was able to get the result. Now, there's now important games, and there's some results that set up the stage for great opportunities. One of the groups that are going to be really interesting is the amount of goals that need to be scored in a couple of games that involve Boca Juniors and River Plate, Boca Juniors and Benfica. Those two teams are now in charge of scoring as many goals against the New Zealand team that already lost 10-0 against Bayern Munich. So that's going to be an interesting bet right there to see if there's a lower number of goals, because everybody's going to try to put a lot of money on above the line. What games are you going to be looking forward to?
Well, talk to me about this Juventus game coming up 9 o'clock Eastern time here tonight. Kind of a big number there for them, minus 240. What are we thinking we're going to get here tonight with them?
Juventus should be taking this game. This is a team that has the responsibility to show why are the favorites. They come from a season in the Italian tournament, but in this tournament right now, everything has changed. The teams have shown that they are playing for $100 million. So we see the commitment and the results will go. There's very few teams that will do the surprise like we saw in the Real Madrid. So I will go with Juventus on this one.
What did we get? We had Man City also earlier today, a 2-0 victory here. What's the ceiling for them? What are you looking at with Man City?
I think that Man City needed to win this game. Casablanca, it's a quintessential African team that has one of the biggest supporter groups in the world. They are very intense and they show, but Manchester City seems to be coming back to their normal self. They show they have the game under their control, and I expect them to win all of their matches on the stage group and move into the second phase as a favorite to, make a deep run all the way probably to the semifinals.
Talk to me about you mentioned the Argentinian teams here. What about Brazil? What are we expecting from them here?
Brazilian teams have shown a lot of fight on this first stage. I think that both Botafogo has a clear path forward and also Fluminense. Palmeiras has tough games ahead of them, but I think that my money should definitely be on Botafogo and Fluminense to have a deep run, at least to the quarterfinals.
All right, I put you on the spot here. Give me the crystal ball. Yes. Who do you think ends up playing for it all when it's all said and done?
I think right now there's a clear favorite, and the numbers are behind them, and it's PSG. Paris Saint-Germain is the most informed team. They are the current champions of the Champions League. They just won that tournament 2 weeks ago, so their form is intact. They should be winning all of their games, and I think that the other team that's going to do a deep run is going to be Bayern Munich.
All right, Bayern Munich, can't go wrong. PSG, Bayern Munich, you're going to get some quality soccer there for sure. And Marcelino Ortiz, we certainly appreciate the time because, listen, we got a lot of soccer coming up over the next few weeks, man, and we look forward to getting your updates and, of course, your insight as we move along here. But Juventus coming up later tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Certainly should be able to handle that one. Appreciate it, Marcelino. We look forward to talking to you again, man, with the updates. But you heard him. PSG should be the clear favorite when it's all said and done. All right, that does it. Wraps up this first segment here on Game Time Decisions. We got much more to get to. Another hour, in fact, coming up next on The Grid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee's going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this Wednesday. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as we are certainly getting ready here for a big night in Major League Baseball, one that has seen an awful lot of rain wrecking some havoc here. We've got some cancellations across the board already. We won't be seeing the Cubs playing tonight. We won't be seeing Scooble and the Pirates going up against the Pittsburgh or Detroit going up against Pittsburgh there. What we will get, though, and what we have right now is a game in the bottom of the second inning in Miami with the Phillies looking to bounce back after getting that winning streak set down yesterday against Miami. Mazur with his first start of the year for the Marlins right now. Ranger Suarez going for Philadelphia, but no score in that one. We do have a bit of a rain delay in the nation's capital. We got Washington right now. Parker set to go against German Marquez, the red-hot Rockies. I can't even believe I'm saying it. Kind of hurts to even roll off the tongue, but the Rockies are mashing the ball and they're winning games. I wonder if somebody told them they're the Rockies. Maybe they can come back down to reality, but a win is a win, and they are starting to stack them up, so good for them. But that game was already supposed to be underway, but the tarp, from what I see, is still on the field. So we'll let you know when that game gets underway. And, of course, the New York Mets, what a way to lose a game last night. The bullpen melts down. The Atlanta Braves come back, win that game in walk-off fashion. And tonight, they got their ace on him out. Chris Sale taking on Paul Blackburn, who was actually pretty good in his first start of the season last time out for the New York Mets. But he'll get to show his worth and value here to this rotation, who's going to need some help with Tyler McGill hitting the IL. That was announced over the last couple of days. Not great news for the health of that rotation, but getting Blackburn back could very well help them. But those bats of the Mets are going to have to get it done against Chris Sale. And tell you the truth, I'm not buying the Atlanta Braves offense here. Yes, they came back and won that game. That was a 4-1 game, and they should not have been anywhere near that if the bullpen did its job last night. I get it's Chris Sale, but to lay $2 with this Atlanta Braves offense, to me, it's dog or pass. Now, Chris Sale, 7.5 Ks is interesting because you can see the juice to the under here. And I agree with that. The Mets are pretty good at making pitchers work in spots like this. And yeah, we saw, of course, Juan Soto deliver last night, starting to come around. I think the Mets could very well be the value play of the night against Atlanta. And we're all waiting to see whether or not the Yankees ever score a run again. That's a hot topic of conversation. Why? Well, because they haven't scored in 28 innings here, which is just mind-numbing. But the good news is there is somebody hitting on the Yankees, and his name is Stanton. 2 more hits last night in just his second game of the season. So he is batting 400, went 2 for 4 the other night, 2 for 4 yesterday. Maybe the Yankees can catch a little bit of what he's got going on, and this is all going to come down to when Aaron Judge starts putting the ball in play right now. He was 0 for 4 again last night with 3 strikeouts. That's not going to get it done. But I do think the Yankees have a pretty good opportunity to go get this Angels bullpen and start getting some runs here. Yarbo will start for him. 9.5 is the total. I've already laid the 1.5 with the Yankees and took their team total up and over. I think it's a big night for the Yankee bats here. Baltimore and Tampa also getting ready to go with Rodgers taking on Taj Bradley. How good as this Tampa Bay Rays team? And we also learned a little bit earlier today that there are advanced discussions about the Tampa Bay Rays being sold. So we already learned earlier, if you're just joining us a couple hours ago, we learned about the Buss family selling their interest in the Lakers to the Dodgers ownership group there. So we're going to have some new ownership in the NBA with one of the legendary franchises, but Tampa and Major League Baseball has not been happy with what the ownership there from the Rays has been doing. They bought it in the early 2000s for $200 million. If you want to now, just to give you an idea of where we're at and how profitable Major League Baseball owning franchises is. If you buy it, I don't know, let's say 20 years ago at $200 million, I think the valuation that they were talking was somewhere in the $1.5 billion range. So, yeah, ownership group being headlined by one of the very big developers in Florida, in Jacksonville, in fact. Looks like all the pieces are in play. There's no word on what they're going to do with the Tropicana field. But I can tell you this, that ownership group, they could use some new blood for the Tampa Bay Rays. Maybe an ownership group that will actually spend some money instead of developing players for the rest of the American and National League. So some good news there. And they are red hot, crushing the ball. I don't see any reason to step in front of them again tonight against Baltimore. And then how about Texas getting just when you think the Texas Rangers turn a corner, they come out last night against Seth Lugo, who is a regression candidate. All of a sudden, they can only score 1 run. And the Royals, out of nowhere, scored 6 runs last night. 6. They haven't scored 6 runs all month combined, but yet they scored 6 last night at Arlington. And tonight, interestingly enough, what a pitcher's battle. Bubic going for Kansas City and Patrick Corbin for the Texas Rangers. And I can't listen. It's beyond me. Patrick Corbin is a new guy. If you have not been paying attention, a year ago, we celebrated every day here on the network and on this show about Patrick Corbin. It was Fade Patrick Corbin Day every time he took the mound. And boy, oh boy, is that long gone. He has been quite serviceable. He has really pitched fantastic this year for the Texas Rangers. He is no longer the laughingstock, and I wouldn't be running to the window to fade him anytime soon. Love the under in this game. Both of these lineups are some of the worst in the American League against left-handed pitching. And you got two pretty decent ones. I can't believe I'm saying it, but yeah, Patrick Corbin for the Rangers, of course, and Bubic going for Kansas City. That game coming up at the top of the hour. And I like Texas to get back at plus money. I'll take a shot with the Rangers and Patrick Corbin, but I really like that under more than anything here. And we also talked about Minnesota and Cincinnati. Cincinnati, the Bats have come alive. Minnesota, not so much here, but they do have Bailey Ober back on the mound going up against Nick Lodolo, and it's been all Cincinnati money in the marketplace. And an under, in fact, is what we're starting to see here. It was 9. I'm starting to see 8.5s in the market. So might we get maybe a little more of a pitcher's battle in this one here tonight? And welcome back, Justin Verlander, who will take the mound for the Giants, looking to bounce back after that loss to the Guardians last night. Verlander versus Logan Allen coming up at 9:45 Eastern. We'll have much more as Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. A very happy Wednesday to you as we've got some Major League Baseball underway right now, including the New York Yankees, who promptly gave up a solo home run there to something called a Chenul, I think. Anyway, 1-0 there, bottom of the first inning. So those that might have looked at the over. It closed at 9.5, in-game number 10.5 right now. Yankees coming up to the plate. Also coming up to the plate, our good friend Mark Zinno here, who listen, Zin, the Yankees, we talked about it this morning here on the early line, and 28 innings, and yet it's the third time they've had such a streak in the history of the organization, which is kind of mind-blowing. But listen, if they're going to hit, the Angels in this rotation and this bullpen, it ain't going to last forever, or is it here tonight?
Who knows at this point in time? Again, the problem for the Yankees is that if Aaron Judge isn't producing, nobody else is really capable of manufacturing runs, and that's part of the issue. But you'd like to think that for a team in the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim that boasts 3 starters who are in the bottom 5 in field and independent pitching in all of Major League Baseball for qualified starters, that's a bad place to be for your starters. They have the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball as far as bullpen ERA is concerned. And the Yankees can't seem to score a run off this team. So it's a really bad sign. Excuse me, they're a bottom 3 bullpen. I wanted to be accurate here. But it's a really bad sign right now that the Yankees offense isn't doing anything. You're talking about Paul Goldschmidt batting $170, Cody Bellinger batting .226, both of them in the month of June. These are really bad numbers. And if they can't turn it around here, the Tampa Bay Rays could sneak up on them quicker than you think.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be shocking. And speaking of those Rays, they got an interesting game coming up against Baltimore here, a little battle of the American League East. Taj Bradley at home. Seems like a reasonable enough price to bat. I mean, why are we stepping in front of the Rays right now?
Because their pitching is questionable. Their starting pitching, their bullpen's great. Their starting pitching is questionable. Guys like Shane Baz and Zach Littell, more guys who are in the bottom 10, bottom 12 of field and independent pitching. Taj Bradley isn't that great. So their starting pitching is questionable at best. But these guys are capable of producing decent outings on a routine basis, but they're never going to wow you. These are quality starts, guys who are going to give you 6 innings and 3 runs. And if the Tampa Bay offense is on point and it gets a team like Baltimore who doesn't have that great of pitching, you start to believe that, maybe this is a setup here where Baltimore can score some runs and score them early here, because you're probably not going to score them late off the Tampa Bay bullpen. So point simply being here that it's hard to sometimes trust the Rays given their starting pitching. But if they score runs early, it's a good spot for them to be.
13 hits by the Orioles last night. They certainly had no problem scoring runs in that 5-1, and their bullpen seems to have finally, with Batista, figured some things out there in Baltimore. They just posted a 7:40 first pitch start. There was a rain delay with the Nats taking on Colorado, the Red Hot Rockies. Say it with me, the Red Hot Rock. I can't even muster the words. So what are we doing in this game with German Marquez pitching for Colorado?
Well, look, part of the biggest part of this handicap here in backing Washington laying a half run in the first 5 simply is that, do we really believe the Rockies can win 4 in a row? I don't know. Probably not. They did win 3 in a row at one point earlier this year, so they're at their season-long limit here. But they are starting a lefty here in Mitchell Parker, the Nats are, and Colorado is bottom 3, batting average OPS and WRC plus against left-handed pitching. So you have to hope that at least he can minimize some of the damage. And you get to German Marquez. Last night Antonio Senzatella pitched for Colorado, and he's literally the worst starter in Major League Baseball by every metric. And they were able to give him 10 runs of support. So, this requires the Nationals to get up early and get to Marquez, and for Mitchell Parker to limit the damage, which I think he can do.
Crazy last night. It really was. 7 home runs for Colorado in a game. That wasn't at Coors Field. Kind of nuts there, Zen. How about the Twins and the Reds? We did get a pretty good game there last night, and I think we went over the total. They scored 11 runs last night. What are we doing in this one here tonight against Minnesota with Ober on the mound?
Well, you're looking at 2 really bad starters. Nick Lodolo is a good starter, but his home road splits are god-awful. His numbers at home are terrible. Like, he is just not a guy that you want to back at home this year. And in his last 4 starts at home, this is only his 6th start of the year at home, but his last 4 starts at home, he's given up at least 3 runs. He's got a 5.85 ERA at home. He's given up 8 of his 10 home runs at home. Opposing hitters are batting .290 against him at home. All those numbers take a massive drop once he gets on the road. And then you're also looking at Bailey Ober, who isn't setting the world on fire in any size, way, shape, or form. His road ERA is 4.6. Guys are batting 280 off him on the road. And this is also a guy, who it puts up, very mediocre numbers as far as his whip is concerned. He's given up 36 hits in 31 innings, tack on another 9 walks. There's going to be base runners on for Cincinnati who scores more at home than they do on the road.
Yeah, a Great American Ballpark heating up there for sure with Cincinnati. So, yeah, I like the over in that spot as well. We do have, of course, Aaron Judge up. He might actually get a walk. That might actually be a good thing here for the New York Yankees because that means he's not striking out. When we come back here, Zin, I want to get your thoughts here, and they're just underway right now. Are you laying $2 with Chris Sale and your Braves team? Is that something that's a smart bet, even with Chris Sale?
I would never lay $2 with the Braves. The Braves should never be a $2 favorite against anybody, not even the Pirates or the Rockies. They were a $3 favorite, and they lost the game outright in the last game of the series they played. So, no. The Braves continue to be overpriced, massively, massively overpriced. So you can't bet on them. Only do it situationally. Even the other night in game 1 of this series, when they opened up as $1.50 favorite, I'm like, that's nuts. Now, granted, they blew it, the Mets did, and they came back, the Braves came back and won it, but that wasn't really the way that game went down. They were supposed to lose that, Atlanta was.
Yeah, we got, by the way, Judge struck out, so we're screwed here. We're screwed there with the Yankees busting out here. All right, don't go anywhere, Zin. We got a couple more games to go over as Game Time Decisions continues here on the grid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week. He confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, Milwaukee's going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Let's welcome back in Mark Zinno. As Mark, a couple of the games on the board here tonight coming up just after the top of the hour. I mean, listen, I'll admit it. I was laughing when Corbin signed with the Rangers, and I'm going, what are they doing? But I'm not laughing anymore, Zin. He's actually been very serviceable for him. And a Texas Rangers team there, just when you think the Bats have figured it out, they get one run last night and lose 6-1. You got Bubic versus Corbin. Total is 8. Seems high. What are you thinking we get here tonight?
I mean, I don't know what alternate universe I entered where I'd like to bet an under in a game started by Patrick Corbin, but that's where we are right now. It's an alternate universe where the Yankees can't score a run. It's an alternate universe where the Indiana Pacers actually managed to win 2 games against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So we are in very strange times here at this point in time. Yeah, I mean, look, I think, it's a first 5 under deal here in this game. Even at the 3.5, I'd be willing to roll the dice with it. The Royals scoring 6 runs on the road is probably more surprising than anything. And this is a Texas lineup that doesn't hit anywhere on planet Earth. So Bubic should be enough to be able to keep these guys at bay here. And I think you get 3 or less here in the first 5. I don't know if I trust that Royals bullpen or the Rangers bullpen late.
The whole Houston with Framber on the mound versus Severino in Sacramento. This line, I think it's cheap for Houston, but I don't understand why we're not getting a 10 for a total here. I mean, what we get 14 runs, 16 runs last night. What Framber's going to shut them down? What are we doing?
There is no more dynamic splits for any pitcher in Major League Baseball here than there is for Luis Severino, whose road ERA is 0.93. Opposing hitters are batting $1.94 against him. He has a sub-1 whip and has not allowed a home run all year long in 6 starts. At home, his ERA is over 7. Guys are batting .300 against him. All 6 of his home runs have come at home, and his whip is astronomically high. He's given up, what we talk about, his whip is about $1.25. So, if not closer to 150. I mean, I don't know what you do with this. Does eventually baseball regression show up and Luis Severino has a decent home start? I wouldn't bet on that now. But again, Houston doesn't necessarily hit the ball that well. It's not an offense that's really turned it on yet at this point in time. And the line is a little bit stinky because you feel like with Framber on the mound, it should be a little bit heavier for Houston. Feels kind of like a spot here where you can get a decent price on the A's plus the 1.5. I don't know if I certainly wouldn't lay 1.5 with Houston because I don't trust that offense at all. But again, Framber Valdez is another guy who has worse numbers on the road. And, Sacramento, whatever, the A's, the Athletics, they actually could still hit the ball. I mean, it's the one thing they do is hit the ball. So I wouldn't put it past them to be able to score in this game.
Dodgers late night against the Padres. Kolek had a couple of pretty nice starts under his belt. Sheehan going for the Dodgers, 9.5. Are we just looking at totals here? What are we doing in this game?
I mean, Kolek's numbers, another guy on the road. I mean, here are these splits. His ERA on the road, 1.75. His ERA at home, 9.58. Granted, he's only had 2 home starts this year. He obviously got rocked, and both of them gave up 3 home runs and allowed 11 runs in 10 1/3. So he's had 6. This will be his 7th road start of the year. Sample size is larger, but facing the Dodgers is a whole different animal. And this is a guy who doesn't necessarily have a ton of experience in the majors to go off of when facing a lineup like Los Angeles. So it's tough to know what to do here. You'd think that, at least the Padres would be able to stay close in this thing. But it feels like LA this year has San Diego's number, whereas in years past on the regular season, San Diego requited themselves pretty well against LA.
So let me ask you tomorrow, Game 6 in Indiana for the NBA Finals. Are we overhyping this Halliburton thing? Or are the Pacers capable without Halliburton of getting it to a Game 7?
The Pacers don't bring back Reggie Miller in his purest form, they're not winning this game. The series is over. And Oklahoma City still has yet to play a complete game and shoot anywhere near their regular season numbers in any game in this series. If they come remotely close to shooting to what their regular season percentages are, they're going to blow this team out of the water. The series is over tomorrow.
2 Game 6s. One last night. Florida Panthers ended it. OKC tomorrow night with a chance to raise the trophy there. Zin, we appreciate it, my man. Enjoy the games. Game Time Decisions. We got an update next.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as we've got a leadoff home run by Ronald Acuna there for Atlanta. They are up 1-0 on the New York Mets. Stop me if you've heard this one. The Yankees still haven't scored a run, but such is life. Toronto is up on Arizona 1-0 in that game as well. We got much more Major League Baseball coming up, but let's not forget we're coming out of a weekend, Father's Day weekend, in which, I don't know, I thought the U.S. Open was gross on so many different levels, but let's bring in our good friend Brady Cannon here, who can somehow help me understand what the USGA was thinking on that Sunday, leaving these guys out to dry like that, figuratively.
I don't know if dry is the right word, right?
I can put the irony there, but my goodness, Brady. I mean, to have a guy, and kudos to him, JJ Spawn.
Yeah.
But a guy who shoots 40 on the front should not win the U.S. Open. Shouldn't. I'm sorry.
And thank goodness he made that bomb, because that was electric, and that was a moment, because that last couple and a half hours or so of the U.S. Open was not pretty, to your point. Now, that being said, Joe, I thought like the first 3 rounds and the beginning of the final round, especially the first 3 days, I thought they were brilliant. I thought Oakmont was fantastic. The way it was so difficult and the way it tested these players right to the edge. I mean, hey, we even got to see Scotty Scheffler, hit a couple of balls in the rough. I mean, when was the last time we saw that? It was a fair test. It was very, very fair, but it was very, very hard. And it really produced what was going to be the best golfer for those 4 days until we got to Sunday. And you know what? Unfortunately, we can't control Mother Nature. It was kind of anticlimactic for a minute there, like I say, until Spawn, hit the bomb. But I'd love to see him go back to Oakmont every year. I mean, you take that weather out of Sunday, take that out of the equation. And I thought that was brilliant. And one thing that I have really enjoyed about every major this year, Joe, I think they have all absolutely lived up to the fullest of their identity. The Masters was drama and tradition, and the tournament doesn't start until the second 9 on Sunday, right? The PGA was a golf professional clinic by Scotty Scheffler. Drive it in the fairway, make the putt, don't get rattled, hold off guys like Rahm and DeChambeau. And then the U.S. Open lived up to the billing of being the most brutal, diabolical test that, golf can put in front of you. And again, that last little percentage, 10% that Mother Nature dominated was unfortunate. But so far, I thought we've really gotten everything out of what these major championships are supposed to be in 2025.
Well, we got one signature event left this week coming up at the Travelers. So do you approach it where there were a lot of guys that did not have great weeks and really weren't even playing on the weekend? Do you focus in on any of those guys that got out of Oakmont and prepping for this one?
I bet 5 guys outright this week, and I only bet 1 guy that didn't make the cut. I think there's certainly something to that, betting on guys that didn't have to deal with that weekend. I don't necessarily want to deal with any of the guys that were coming down the stretch on Sunday, like Adam Scott, like Sam Burns, like JJ Spawn, some of these guys that went through that mental pressure cooker and, were just in the throes of that drama and that mental strain. That's brutal. That's going to take a minute to recover from, I believe. I did land on Robert McIntyre, who, nearly won the darn thing, right? But with McIntyre, he was in the clubhouse for, 90 minutes to 2 hours sitting back on the lead. He wasn't really involved in that gauntlet down the stretch that these guys had to deal with, the rain and everything else. He was kind of kicking back for a minute. So I think more with McIntyre, it's simply good form. And you got 72 guys in the field, Joe. And you can get these guys at like 50-1 because Scotty and Rory and JT and Morikawa and all these guys are at the top of the board. You look down the list here, you've got major champions, multi-time winners, yada, yada, even into the triple-digit odds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. This is what do we know about this course too, Brady? Guys coming from Oakmont to this course, similar, not some. What can we expect here, you think?
It's going to be a polar opposite. I mean, we went from 1 guy that finished under par to possibly all 72 finishing under par this week. The average winning score here over the last 3 years has been 21 under par. This is only the second year it's been a signature event. So it makes sense that they could go even lower because the level of talent has been increased the last couple of years. Scotty Scheffler shot 22 under par last year, and all that did was get him to a playoff. I was on, of course, Tom Kim at 50-1, who eventually lost the playoff. But the point is, I think this is a bit of a birdie fest here compared to last week being a bit of a bogey fest.
This was the tournament where the protesters ran across the green, was it? Then they had to move the hole. The whole thing was weird last year. Yes, I remember that. But we've got some decent numbers, and you're talking about probably a lot of birdies going on here. So, you've got some guys on the outright markets. Is there an outside dog somewhere around here that you like that maybe? I mean, is it Aberg, Xander, any of these guys worth a top 10, top 20 situation here?
Yeah. Now you're going to have to pay a little bit of a premium for top 10 and top 20 this week because there's only 72 guys in the field. And I played a few of my guys for top 20, all at plus money. Actually played a couple of my guys for top 30 at plus money. I just couldn't, for one reason or another, I found a reason to poke a hole in one of the guys at the top. Xander's close. I almost landed on him. I think he's close to being ready to win again, and he's won again. He's won here before. Scotty, you know how we bet him. We wait to see if he's in the lead heading into Sunday, and if he's minus 200, okay, I'll jump in. But I'm not going to bet him with 4 days of golf left to go. Morikawa doesn't seem to have it mentally upstairs to be able to close the deal. Hovland, I'm not going to go down. We saw what he did last week. He was a wreck on the green. So I went down to Bobby Mack as my first guy at 45-1. Siwoo Kim, I took at 50-1. He played really nicely last week at the U.S. Open. Wasn't necessarily in contention, but came out with a 68 in the opening round. Gained strokes on the field, tee to green. Gained strokes on the field on approach, but just couldn't make a putt. So if he finds, and he has been brilliant on Pete Dye designs. He won at the Players Championship. He's won on all the courses that are similar to TPC River Highlands. So I thought he made sense. And then Brian Harman. Brian Harman is a relatively popular play this week. He's never won here, but the guy has had goddarn 7 top 10s here. He's a machine at this place, and he's done well. Again, he's a shorter hitter. This course is not even 6,900 yards, and Harman has done really well on these Pete Dye shorter tracks like Harbor Town. So he's a guy that makes sense. I played those 3 all for a top 20 as well. And then I talk about, major champion, Matt Fitzpatrick at 110 to 1. I think he's been a winner at Harbor Town before. He's finished 5th at the Players Championship, these Pete Dye designs. I think he's a good bet here. And again, the price is crazy. We can get on some of these guys. And then finally, Davis Thompson, who got his first PGA Tour victory last year at the John Deere Classic. I think this tournament is similar to the John Deere Golf Course, TPC Deere Run, and I think there's some crossover there. Thompson also finished 10th this past season, this past March, at the Players Championship. So, he's shown that he can do very, very well on this type of golf course, and he's in the neighborhood of 125 to 1.
Wow, that is crazy. Is our boy Daniel Berger, does he have a shot? Brady.
He does. Yeah, and he's absolutely a very popular play this week. Berger, Russell Henley, Victor Hovland, and I didn't want to go down that road. I tried to get outside the box a little bit, and we'll see if it works.
I love it. Those numbers are fantastic. Brady, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you again a little bit later in the week. Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, Milwaukee's going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network. We have breaking news And before we give it to you, let's bring in our good friend Scotty Wetzel here. Be taking over at the top of the hour for In-Game Live. He'll be covering all the action here tonight. And the breaking news here, Scotty, is the Yankees have scored a run. I cannot believe it. They got one. A home run, I believe. Chisholm got crushed one, it looks like, there over the into the right field deck bleachers there. So it is 1-1, 30 no-score innings. That is now in the books here. Did you like the Yankees to come out tonight hot, or what were you thinking?
No, I was thinking, Angels and the under, right? If it's not broke, don't fix it. I've been on the Angels the last 2 nights, getting plus 175. And then the over-under, listen, I know it had sucker written all over it, 9.5, right? I mean, you said it. This team hasn't scored since, the turn of the century, and they're posted a 9.5. So I played the under. It's 1-1, 2 home runs in the game, 30 straight scoreless innings, Joe. And then, one of the games was at Fenway Park, which is a hitter's ballpark, obviously. And then the other 2 were, at Stanky Stadium against the LA Angels, and they still couldn't score. So it's not like they were playing out west, San Francisco, or, wherever, pitchers' ballparks. It's amazing. They don't win. I will say this: for the most part, they don't win when Aaron Judge doesn't hit. So we'll see what happens tonight. But I did like the Angels. I grabbed them plus the 175, and I grabbed the under. We'll get a 6-4 Yankee win tonight, no doubt. But I said, you know what? Might as well just go with what's happening, and that's the under in the Angels.
Yeah, don't hate it at all. A couple of solo home runs is where we're at right now in that game. Yep. Good one coming up top of the hour here with Kansas City and Texas. And I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scott, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen. And Bubic is going for Kansas City. So what do we do with this one?
Yeah, he's only allowed, Joe, listen, the starting pitching nowadays is different, right? But he's only allowed more than 3 runs twice all season. He's not going 7-8 innings. That's what I mean by how starting pitching is different nowadays. But still, I mean, he's been awful. I mean, for Washington the last couple of years, just brutal. So I don't know what they're doing with the baseballs down in Texas, but he's pitching well. The team can't hit. Another under hit last night. I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Like, don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games, because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops after that. He had 3 runs in the first inning on an over-under of 8 yesterday, and it still came in. They had 5 runs, 6 runs in the first 3.5 innings, and it still came in. It's the weirdest thing. So 28-9 under this season at home. Texas, we said it before, been on your show a number of times. They're the number 1 under team. It's continuing. It's just under after under after under. It's 8 today. It's a little, you'll get Corbett on the hill, but I'm going Texas under, against Kansas City.
Why not? Not a bad opportunity here. Still think there's runs are going to be hard to come by. I don't know that they'll be hard to come by in Sacramento, but I don't understand this line. I thought Houston with Framber Valdez would be a much bigger favorite than what they are here, Scott. And the total I thought would be double digits. It's still 9.5. So what gives here with Severino going for the Athletics tonight?
Yeah, very weird, right? You think if for some reason the boys in Vegas know Valdez isn't going to pitch, then the over-under would be in double digits, as it generally is for A's home games because they play in Sacramento, right? It's been an over ballpark. But if you think he's going to pitch well, then you're right. Why aren't they a 2-1 favorite? We're talking about a first-place team versus basically a last-place team that's not playing well. They own them like 26-10. Their last 35, 36 meetings against the A's. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's kind of like San Francisco's game last night. That line had written all over it, and sure enough, San Fran found a way to lose to Cleveland. So, same thing happen here, but I'm going with Houston. Give me the small price at minus 160, 165 on the road.
I agree. What are we doing with the Dodgers tonight here? These two teams don't like one another, but Kolek versus Sheehan for LA, it feels like another over, doesn't it, Scott? Just like keep scoring runs. What do we do here?
Yeah, it's nothing but overs for Dodger home. 14-5, I believe it is. Last 19 games. They beat San Diego too. They don't lose to San Diego at home. It's in the neighborhood of like 22-4. Last 26 home games, they beat the Padres. They've taken the first 2 games of this series, despite really both games being bullpen by committee type of game, which it might be again tonight with Sheehan on the hill. Don't like laying the -2 to 1, so I'll lay the 1.5. But you got to keep on playing the Dodgers and keep on playing the over. All these things are going to flip, Joe. Like Yankees, Angels and under. Eventually it's going to be Yankees and over. And same thing with the Dodgers and over at home. It's going to flip somewhere along the line. They're going to lose a home game. Game's going to go under. But until it does, I bet with these streaks. So give me the Dodgers and give me the over 9.5.
Yeah, I like that a lot there. And, of course, Verlander back on the mound for the Giants tonight. Logan Allen for the Guardians. Devers wasn't enough for them to win last night. Do they bounce back here?
I'm going to bet them again. I don't like betting Verlander at this point in his career. I don't have a whole lot of faith in him. I did find a new little prop on FanDuel. Just screwing around here the last couple of minutes because I had a big play on the Milwaukee Cubs game that was going to throw you a bunch of props, but that turned out to get rained out already. So FanDuel now, Joe, is offering total hits, runs, and RBIs for a player. They normally do it for games, but now they're doing it for each player. And I like that a lot more than total bases, because total bases you get screwed because if the guy gets a walk that doesn't count, or if he gets on base by an error, it doesn't count as a total base. So I'm going to go 3 or more for Devers tonight and 3 or more for Jose Ramirez for Cleveland. Ramirez had a 35 straight on-base streak snap recently. He's 0 for his last 2 games, so he's overdue, hitting 300s, having a great season. And then Devers got a couple of hits yesterday. So it's total 3 or more, and you're getting plus odds, plus 125 for both those guys.
I like that a lot. Going to look that right now here as the Giants going back at it with the Guardians tonight. We appreciate it as always, Scotty. We'll see you here top of the hour for In-Game Live. Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions as we look to close out this edition here together. We got much more coming your way, including Scott Wetzel, Joe Madden taking over here at the top of the hour. In-game live coming your way here, and plenty going on here tonight. We do have, I believe, one WNBA game underway at the break with Phoenix and Connecticut. Phoenix on top 48-36 at the break. We do have plenty of Major League Baseball, a lot of rain across the country here, so we've had a lot of games postponed, but the New York Mets are kind of hoping it would have rained in Atlanta because it's raining runs right now for the Atlanta Braves. 3-0 with an opportunity for more here. So the Mets are going to have their work cut out for them, down 3-0. The Yankees finally scored a run, 1-1 in that one there as they're coming up in the bottom of the third inning. We got no score with Tampa and Baltimore top of the second. Toronto got a run in the first inning at home against Arizona, and that's all she wrote there. Bottom of the third, still just 1-0 against Arizona. We are getting ready for a couple of other games, including Colorado and Washington, which has now been pushed back to 8:30 Eastern time. So Scott Wetzel, Joe Madden, they'll have the start of that game coming your way here on In-Game Live. But we got a 4-1 game with Philadelphia. Philly, 3-run homer, I believe. They added 4 runs there in the fourth inning, but Miami just got one back. They're in the bottom of the fifth, 4-1. The Phillies on top there. We're getting ready for Kansas City and Texas. That game getting underway here with Corbin and Bubic, 2 of the worst hitting teams against left-handed hitters, left-handed pitching, and 2 pretty decent left-handed pitchers going on with Bubic and Corbin. First 5 under, not a bad way to look there. And you can see Bubic, there is a reason why 5.5 Ks is juiced to the over. Texas bats, yeah, they tend to chase a little bit here, but they had been playing pretty well up until last night. The Rangers really thought they might have turned a corner, and maybe the bats started to figure some things out, but that was short-lived with 1 run in total last night with Lugo and the bullpen for the Royals. And then Houston taking on the Athletics. That game coming up here with Framber Valdez against Severino. I don't know how anybody's going to sweat an under out in this game, but I do think Houston, and maybe even laying the 1.5, not a bad way to look at it here. They will have 9 at-bats as the away team, and I just trust them a lot more, that lineup, than we do anything that the Athletics are going to bring to the table against Framber and Severino. The splits at that ballpark versus what he is on the road are night and day. Definitely worth taking a look at that one. You'll end it with the West Coast games with Dodgers and the Padres here tonight. As boy, oh boy, if it ain't broke, I ain't fixing it with that one too. It feels like we're just mixing and matching all sorts of pitchers here. Kolek going tonight here. Also been very good at home, not so much on the road. And Emmett Sheehan is going there, right-hander, making his 2025 debut. He's another one of these Dodger pitchers who is returning from Tommy John surgery, hasn't pitched since, I believe, 2023, and he wasn't that bad when he was with the team there, but unfortunately ended up getting hurt, but he's making his season debut. Never know what you're going to get for guys like that. Bullpens will be involved. Call me crazy. Just give me the over. Let's hope for runs, and more runs in that one. And Justin Verlander back on the hill tonight for the Giants as they look to get one back against the Cleveland Guardians. 3-2 lower scoring game last night. If we're being honest, I don't know that I see a ton more runs in this game here tonight. So that is a pitcher's ballpark after all. And Verlander still doesn't have a win as a Giant, if you can believe it here. Still winless, though. Was on the shelf for some shoulder tightness, dead arm, but he is back ready to go. The money has been coming in on the Guardians here, but that total hovering right around the 8 mark. So Verlander looking to get his first win, and Rafael Devers looking to get his first win in a Giant uniform. So a lot coming your way here tonight. You don't have to go anywhere. In-game live is coming up next. Game Time Decisions. We'll see you again tomorrow on the grid.